In this lesson, I'll show you how to calculate the relative difference. And just for reference, the relative difference is also called the relative error or the percent difference. Now to calculate the relative difference, we use the formula shown on the screen, where we find the absolute difference between the two values and then divide it by the reference value multiplied by 100%. This formula is designed never to give you any negative values. So the relative difference should always be positive. And the reason for that is because of the absolute difference part shown here. We'll talk more about that when we discuss questions 1 and 2. Question 1 reads, an object was measured to be 12.5 feet. So that is the observed value. The actual known distance is 12.9 feet. That will be our reference value. What is the relative difference between the two values? So let's begin by calculating the absolute difference, and I'll denote that as AD for short. To calculate the absolute difference, we will take the observed, which is 12.5, and subtract from that the actual, or the reference value, being 12.9. So we have the observed minus the actual. And since this is the absolute difference, if we get a positive value, we leave it as positive. But if we get a negative value, we will take the absolute value, which means we make it to positive. So 12.5 minus 12.9 is negative 0.4, but taking the absolute of that gives us a positive value of 0.4. And this is why the relative difference can never be negative. So we found the absolute difference part at the top, 0.4. And now we'll divide that by the reference value, which was our actual, being 12.9. And whatever that is equal to, we multiply it by 100%. Let's go ahead and use our calculator. 0.4 divided by 12.9, that should give you a value that looks like that on your calculator, times 100, and we end up with a relative difference of roughly 3.1%. Let's go ahead and do another question. The price of gold increased from 1900 per ounce to 1930 per ounce. What is the relative difference in price? Now our reference value will be the original value, which is 1900. That's what it was originally. And then it changed to 1930, which will be our observed. So we take our observed of 1930. I'm going to go ahead and calculate the absolute difference. So 1930 minus 1900, that is equal to a positive difference, so we don't have to do anything with it. We just leave it as 30. And so now we will take this value, and using that formula that we have, I'll call it RD is equal to 30, that's our absolute difference, divided by the reference value, which is 1900. Don't forget to multiply this by 100%. Now we can use our calculator. 30 divided by 1900, multiply to 100%, and that gives us a relative difference in the price change of roughly 1.6%. And there you have it. Now you know how to calculate the relative difference between two values. If you have any questions of your own, please leave them in the comment section. I'll gladly answer them for you. Talk to you all later.